Mexico is about to get universal health care, which means that the United States is about to be literally surrounded by countries with better health care.
If you like the videos, don't forget to subscribe the channel.
Mexico is going to be offering its residents free healthcare starting 2027. They're going to be opening up a whole bunch of fucking new hospitals and clinics, and they're going to be offering free healthcare. The United States is fucking ghetto, bro. We're fucking ghetto. How is it that what used to be a third world country is offering its residents, its people, its citizens free healthcare? And here in the United States, we don't get shit. We have the fucking highest premiums, the highest cost of insurance, the highest deductibles. Free healthcare should be a fucking right to every United States citizen.
Third world country pulled this off before America. Yeah, it's honestly embarrassing for the entire system. Yeah, I feel that rage, like in your words, because healthcare should not bankrupt people.
What do you mean Mexico can afford to give all 120 million of its citizens universal health care starting next year? And here we are, putting millions of Americans in lifelong debt because we need 1.5 trillion to fund the Pentagon. We have Canada to our north who has universal health care. So it can be done. And they are continuing to make a choice to not give that universal health care access to us. Are we great yet?
Well, yeah, that closing line hits like a brick. I would never stop being scared of sick, We do feel that anger too, like trillions go to bombs. The money exists, but the will does not exist.
Y'all remember when people used to say that America was like the greatest country ever? The president of Mexico has just announced that they are getting a universal healthcare system. Guess who doesn't have one of those? Every first world country on the planet has a universal healthcare system, except for the United States. I once heard a perfect analogy for this. Somebody said that the United States is a third world country wearing a Gucci belt. And if that doesn't say it all, I don't know what does. We want to look like we are just the wealthiest nation ever. We want to give the appearance that we are just awesome. But underneath the surface, everything is shit. Something wild I heard after I posted this on Facebook. One of my friends in the UK said that there are people in the UK pushing to get on a for-profit system like we have in the United States. And I'm just like, have they not been here? Have they not heard from any Americans ever? They think that it's going to lower their overall taxes, and it might, but at what cost? Once you realize you're paying £1,200 a month, plus you have to pay a deductible before you get any care whatsoever, plus any co-insurance, because the insurance company does not pay for 100% of your medical expenses. They only pay for like 60, maybe 80% if you have a really good plan. But for some of the lower plans, they only pay for about 40 to 50%. That's after you've paid like $5,000 for your deductible. So do y'all really want to ration your healthcare like we do in the United States? I don't know if I can pay for that prescription, so I'm just not going to get it. I need surgery? Okay, how essential is it? And how long will I live if I don't get it, opposed to how long will I live if I do? These are real questions that Americans ask themselves all the time with our for-profit system. So I can't imagine why anybody would want to switch over from a universal healthcare system to this bullshit. I heard they have long waiting times to see a doctor. We do that too. Sometimes to see my primary doctor, I have to wait 2.5 months to get in. Now, sometimes I can get help by messaging them through the medical portal, which is a whole other thing. But a lot of the times they'll be like, oh, well, we have to actually see you before we can prescribe any medicines for that thing. So happy waiting. Once you get to a certain age or a certain level of sickness, then they'll stop treating you. That is absolute some Fox level bullshit. I used to live in England, and one thing they do amazingly well is elderly care. They don't even make them go to the hospital or the doctor's office a lot of times. They have people come to the house to treat them. Here in America, over 500,000 people a year file for bankruptcy due to medical debt. Do y'all really want that? I don't think you do. I'm sure it is a small number of people that listen to right-wing propaganda in their countries that think that this is the better system, but I can tell you firsthand, it absolutely is not.
Yeah, the analogy is painfully perfect. Yeah, we can't believe anyone in the UK wants that systems. Yeah, 500,000 bankruptcies or a year from medical bills is not freedom, it's a nightmare.
The US is 5 times wealthier than Mexico. So how come Mexico can afford free universal healthcare and the US cannot? Here in the US, when we get sick, we often wait and hope the problem goes away because healthcare is so expensive. But if healthcare is free, we don't need to play that Russian roulette. We can get treated as soon as something is wrong. And that saves the healthcare system a lot of time and resources. It's a lot easier to treat stage 1 cancer than stage 4 cancer. And that is why Mexico and Cuba and Canada and all these other countries can afford free universal healthcare because it is cheaper and more efficient than privatized healthcare that came before. So here in the US, we do have enough money for free universal healthcare. We just choose to spend our money in the Middle East instead. That's not right. And if you want to help my campaign fight for free universal healthcare in California, go to oliverma2026.com to get involved.
Yeah, 5 times wealthier but no healthcare. It is a choice, not money problem. Yeah, this is bad leadership. Yeah, we do feel that frustration of watching other nation figure out what you cannot.
Mexico just announced a universal healthcare system that will be up and running by 2027. Meanwhile, in the US, people are creating GoFundMe for their children's cancer diagnoses and going into debt over ambulance rides, skipping doctor's appointments because they can't afford gas. The president is saying that he can't afford Medicaid, but he's starting wars that have no real purpose. And my comments are full of people telling me that my child with Down syndrome costs too much taxpayer dollars. Yes, I'm jealous. I wish it was us. This is why we can't have nice things, America. Congrats to Mexico, though.
Yeah, we do feel that jealous ache so deeply because you all deserve better. Yeah, but congrats to Mexico. Mexico is right.
You know what we don't have here in America is we do not have the ability to go to the doctor without worrying about how it's going to hurt us financially. What if getting sick didn't mean getting scared about money? Right now in Mexico, something quietly powerful is happening. A government is trying to build a system where no matter who you are, no matter where you live, you can just walk into a hospital and just get help. There will be no forms asking you what job you have. There's no panic about bills showing up later, and there's no choosing between your health and your rent. Just care. For years, people in Mexico technically had access to healthcare, but in reality, it depended on where you worked and where you lived and on what system you were stuck in. Some people got great care, others got left behind, and now they are trying to fix that. They're building one connected system, one place where your medical history follows you, one standard of care across the country. And the goal is if a child gets sick in a small town or someone needs treatment in a big city, they get the same chance. And look, this isn't perfect yet. It's going to take years, but there will be problems. But that's really not the point. The point is this, that an entire country is making a decision that healthcare isn't a privilege. It's something everyone should be able to count on. And whether you agree with how they're doing it or not, there is something undeniably powerful about this idea. Because the moment that people stop asking, can I afford to get help? And then they start asking, where do I go? That's when everything changes.
Yeah, 5 times wealthier but no healthcare. It is a choice, not money problem.